Hi, everybody. We're just waiting for Britt to join. I think she's coming on right now. There she is. Hello. Hello. Look at the sun streaming on your face.
Yeah, no,
Oh,
it would be, yes. Can't go past the sun today.
yeah. It looks like a beautiful morning in the mountains.
Chilly, very, very chilly. Yeah,
Yeah, I bet. I bet. It's freezing in Sydney, so it must be like extra cold in the mountains.
extra.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me on this chat today.
Oh, thank you so much. I always look forward to doing this with you. And it's been a little while. I think we planned to do one sooner than this, but we got there. We got there. So I'm very excited as well.
Mm.
Yeah, and tell me what have you been up to? Because I know you've been really busy with a few offerings that you've got coming up, one on this weekend.
Yeah, I've got some, well, there's always lots of things going on. But I am sharing a womb yoga class this weekend for a new studio that's opening.
Mm.
And yeah, I'm really excited about that. Um, yeah, so yeah, I just feel like it's so wonderful to teach in person. So I'm really enjoying that. And yeah, and I'm super curious about about the mudra course you've got going on. So I know that you've been how long have you been selling the Oracle now for? It's like a couple of weeks or a month?
Yeah, look, the Yoga Mudra Oracle it's actually been out for longer, but it's only been out in Australia since the beginning of May. So yeah, so it's yeah, it just took longer to get to Australia, literally because of shipping across the ocean. So so it came out in the US and the UK earlier this year, and then finally, it's got to Australia. So it feels like now that it's here, it's sort of officially out. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's just been so
Mm.
exciting to finally get to this point after, as you know, after many years of working on the project. And then finding a publisher and all of that, so there's a whole story around it all, and just to for it to be out now is just kind of mind blowing, and like, did that happen? But it did, and it's been amazing just hearing from people that are using it, and getting so much from it, which was really the wish I had from the beginning, was just for people to be able to experience mudras in such a simple way and integrate them into their day in a simple way and not make it overwhelming. And like, because there's so much to know really, but because it's an oracle deck, you can use it as a divination tool, so you can let the cards come to you, so you don't have to think about which mudra do I need. You can let the universe, or you know another higher power, or whatever word you have, you can let that help you find the mudra you need. So I've been getting some really great feedback, and it's really amazing to be getting that.
Yeah, and I think intuition is a really big part of your practice, isn't it? And also your uh, your offering. And I can just hear that coming through your words now. That um, yeah, so much of it is about tapping into your intuition. Would you say?
Absolutely. And I feel like intuition is something we don't really talk about a lot,
Mm.
um, but something that we all have access to. Like, every that you talk to will have a profound experience of intuitive knowing at some point in their life, or many points in their life, but it's not something we really share. We might, we use like common language like a hunch or a intuition, even that, or a feeling or a butterflies or just a knowing. Like we use words like that in our vernacular all the time, but we don't really think about where that comes from. And I really feel that from the work I've done and a bit of research I've done on the topic too, it really is our higher self that has our best interest at heart. Like it's actually trying to help us. And all we have to do is listen more and say yes more. And honestly, since I've been using mudras, I feel like my intuition has sharpened like
Mm.
100-fold. Like that's sort of almost something I didn't expect
Mm.
from using mudras. Like, every mudra has a specific benefit and purpose, but overall, overarching has been a sharpening of my intuition. I think it's just because you're coming within more, you're listening within more when you're using mudras, you're connecting into an energetic field or state. And I think that helps with that intuitive voice becoming clearer. And that's really a heart voice, it's really from our heart center. So, and there are specific mudras to help with intuition, with coming in touch with your heart center. But, and since I've been saying yes more to that voice, amazing things truly have been opening up, like really beautiful synchronicities and um, opportunities, so many things, and also deeper sense of fulfillment. So, and that is actually one, it's a topic I'm really passionate about, and it's one that is covered off in my upcoming training, Yoga Mudra Magic. So that kicks off on Sunday with the first live session, and one of the modules in that is mudras for intuition, and we really deep dive into everything I've just been talking about in a much deeper way, and explore some actual specific mudras to really bring forth that voice. And I'm sure you've got many examples of listening to that voice in the work that you do as well. And yeah, so and even like I won't go into it now, but honestly, like intuition has also saved my life, like absolute, literally saved my life, twice, and it's not just once, twice.
Mm.
So it's that's a story for another day, but you know,
How that story? Because you have mentioned it before, and I'm
yeah,
like, I wonder
what
what it.
is it? Look, it's just, it's just like it's quite a long-winded story, but the thing is, it was actually not me. It was my dad that saved my life, and he did it twice. And he's not spiritually minded or, into these sort of ideas, but I think, that voice, like I was saying earlier, we all have that voice. Like we all have that higher guidance if we want to listen. And I think, on reflection, I, I worked over 20 years in corporate jobs, and I always felt that intuitive voice telling me, like, you should be doing this, you should be, whatever that was. Like, I didn't even know what that was, where I was headed. And I think that's the mystery of that voice. Like, you don't know where it's even leading you, but you have to place a trust that it knows the path that you're meant to go on. And then eventually you'll get to certain points on that path and you'll look back and go, I'm so glad I listened. I'm so glad I, did the yoga teacher training. I'm so glad I did a graphic design course. I'm so glad I took those very demanding jobs because they taught me so many things. So it's just really, you look back, I think, often, and you see those patterns of when you listened. You might have just listened in a really small way, and and then some people listen in a really big way and they just throw their life up in the air completely and take a leap of faith and quit their job and go traveling, and that's incredible. But that certainly isn't my story. You know, my story was just listening quietly over the years and kind of plotting a path toward here, and then I don't know what's next, you know, but it's just like trusting.
Yeah. I really got a sense of that when I was on your launch call. So I joined your launch call a couple of weeks ago to launch the Mudra Oracle. Um, and I tuned into your story, um, and I could feel the level of listening that was required to get you to um, the point where you were launching the Oracle, because you had so many ups and downs, and you had so many possible times where you could have said, all right, I'm folding this, or I'm quitting, I'm not doing this anymore. Um, and so it was like a combination in my mind of like perseverance and listening at the same time. And also, yeah, I feel like all your years of practice coming into it as well, like to have that deep listening, and then of course the relationship that you have with your partner and the deep connection there. It just feels like so much of it is like meant to be, and yet at the same time you could have chosen not to continue with it. So yeah, I think it's that combination of perseverance and listening that has really allowed these Mudra Oracle to come into the world and already help so many people. Like it's actually truly amazing. Like I can just see it rippling out, and I gave a pack to my mum, and she's like uses them every day. She just loves them so much. So I'm curious to hear from you, like that. Would you say it was perseverance and listening, or if you could sort of wrap it up in a few words, like what would you say got you through those sort of hard moments and trusting the intuition to then, you know, bring it all to life?
Yeah, yeah, no.
Like what you're teaching, you've gone through, like you've literally gone through that process, and now you're saying, okay, and here's what I can share with you.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's thank you for asking that question. You know, I think when you just feel something is meant to be born or birthed into the world, or, you know, I think you just have to honor that. And I really felt with Yoga Mudra Oracle, I didn't almost have a choice. Like, even though there were roadblocks and many roadblocks, it just was such a strong drive within that, and such a strong energy and support I feel from elsewhere, like from, you know, I don't even really have a word for what that support was, but it's just like, and there were so many roadblocks, like yeah, like even just, you know, finding a publisher was a whole thing, and I really felt a drive to find a publisher. I'm like, I can't do this on my own. I can't self-publish an oracle deck. It was just too many components to an oracle deck, as opposed to a book, which I think a book is a lot easier to self-publish. But an oracle deck, like, you need a box, you need to print the cards, you need to print a book, and those things just can't, they don't happen easily. Like, they have to be done overseas if you want to do them cheaply, and, you know, there's logistics and there's shipping and there's all of that, and it was just like, this is too much. So also finding a publisher was just a whole perseverance piece. But again, like, amazingly, I think I told the story at the launch event, you know, how I was also shown by my intuition who the publisher was at a really desperate point. And I think and it was using a mudra that helped me see, you know, who the future publisher was. and that was a surprise to me. And I thought I was just having myself on, you know, like I was like, what, you know, as if, and then it did actually happen. So it was incredible. And I also talked about, you know, universal laws playing out, and having an understanding of that, I think really helped because, you know, I think you know, I've been part of a esoteric school and work for 30 years now. And I think a part of that training, that lived experience really helped me kind of stay the course, um, and trust, and some really, you know, there's some beautiful esoteric laws around perseverance, particularly law of seven, which is a Gurdjieffian idea. It's something that he brought to the West, and it's a beautiful concept. It's part of the fourth way school of ideas, um, and that's a part of the. I'm part of a school that evolved out of those ideas. So we look at some principles, but this one is one that really, it just sings true in so many ways. And it's all about how when you begin something, it could be anything like a relationship or a project, you know, how you begin something, there's so much excitement around all of that, and it's like a honeymoon phase. It's like you're almost kind of, you know, on a high, you know, like with the new thing, whatever that new thing is. And we all know that that honeymoon phase will end at some point. So it's those points of resistance that will naturally come to us along the path of trying to bring anything to life, whether it is, you know, you're trying to change something in yourself, you know, it could be even fitness or diet, you know, we're going to hit some sort of wall. And so when we hit those walls, you know, having the understanding that they're even just coming for you, I feel is such a help. Because I think a lot of the time when they come, we can think, oh, you know, this kind of sucks, and I should just give up. You know, I think a lot of us do, and sometimes you need to. Like, I'm not saying you don't need to just let something go, because sometimes you have to let something go, but more often than not, there's another way forward, and it's about, you know, at those points of resistance, working out what the next step is. And is that to do nothing? Is that to just let it unfold, or is it to take action or take a step back, you know? And it's about really tapping into those points of resistance and seeing what is needed to take the next step forward. And I was really lucky with Yoga Mudra Oracle because I had my husband's support, so we sort of got through all of those points of resistance together. When someone dropped the ball, the other person would pick it up, so we were kind of lucky. But a lot of external factors, you know, tried to stop us. It wasn't even resistance from within us, it was resistance from outside of us a lot of the time. You know, family needing support or whatever, new jobs, or, you know, just things, life stuff. But so, you know, understanding that law is really helpful, and it's all about moving through those points into like a new octave, into a new, um, it's actually also, the law of seven is also called the law of octaves. And there's like 2 points of resistance within like a scale, you know, like do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Like it's like we're always trying to get to that new octave. And, you know, Yoga Mudra Oracle launch and being in the world is that new octave. And it's like those points you need to celebrate, because they're really they're hard to achieve. You see it playing out in politics and everything. You see it in, you know, just, it's really interesting once you have a little, even a tiny understanding, a basic understanding of that principle, you can really, it can really help you move on.
So those points of resistance, in a way, they're like a catalyst or a catapult to the next. So when we look at them as opportunities, and what do I need right now, then it's a whole different way of framing it, isn't it? Yeah.
It's like bringing what fresh impulse is needed.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, and it might be, very basic example if you're trying to get fit and you
Mm.
just, 3 weeks at the gym and you're so excited, and then, the fourth week you can't be bothered, like you're just over it, which is what happens. That's when you might need to think about trying a new class or getting a new trainer, or, there's way, like that's a very basic, sort of like.
Different beforehand to like, get your energy levels in the right way. Yeah, 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 yeah. I love it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thanks for just, I've heard you talk about that before, but I feel like, yeah, I've got a bit of a deeper understanding from you talking about that now. So thank you. And yeah, I'd really love to hear about the course itself, the Mudra course itself. What is it called? Mudra Magic?
Yoga Mudra Magic. And you might not remember, Britt, but you helped me with the name of the course. You might not remember, but it was in our Bhakti business,
Yeah.
and I was like, I think we had a WhatsApp at that time, and I was like, what should I call my course? And I thought I should call it just Mudra Magic. And I think I'm pretty sure it was you, like 99% sure. You said, why not Yoga Mudra Magic? And I was like, yeah, that is better. So thank you.
All right. It was me.
It was you. Thank you. Thank you. And look, it's really, it's a beautiful culmination of everything that I've really tried to live myself over the last 30 years into one course. And of course so it's got a few little fourth way ideas that we cover in it that I personally find really helpful, and I use a lot in my life, like Law of Seven, which is what I was just talking about. And but really it's a course about mudras. We look at 10 really beautiful mudras, and the themes of those mudras are around intuition, abundance and manifestation, calm, like we all need more peace and calm. And we also look at some foundational mudras, like really beautiful ones that you're probably familiar with, but you'll learn more about. So ones for meditation and coming into the heart space, and ones that can be used in yoga classes easily. And it's really a course for anybody that is wanting to deep dive on their spiritual journey more, to bring more consistency to a practice.
Mhm.
And I really want people to take away really simple tools that they can just weave into their everyday, so it's not overwhelming and it can be done. Because I think there's so much kind of spiritual noise in the world, and I certainly don't want to be adding more to that noise. And I believe that what I'm presenting in this course, people will get something from. They'll be able to take things with them from the course and into their life. And so, yeah, we look at mudras, but we look at so much more. We look at practice, how to build a practice, a daily practice. We go into meditation, which is something that I found incredibly beneficial for myself, and truly a foundation of a practice, I feel personally. We also have so it's delivered in a hybrid manner. It's live sessions with me. There's 3 of those, which begin on Sunday. And then there's also an online component that has video teachings around the theory, and then some practice teachings, which are delivered by audio and video. And yeah, there's something else I wanted to say. It's really about experiencing the teachings, this course. So there's quite substantial theory, but it's about feeling, and that's really what I want people to take away from it. And it also comes with some beautiful bonuses. I'm going to hold that up now. Beautifully designed. I think it's beautifully designed because I did it. I think it's okay anyway. But it's just a companion guidebook that comes with it, and it's 96 pages. It's quite long.
Oh.
And it's a summary of the whole course within this guide. It is a downloadable PDF, and it also comes with like a mudra cheat sheet that people can put on their altar that summarizes the mudras that we look at, and also a lovely playlist that people can use to use after or during the course when they're meditating. So there's lots of support post training, and it just runs over 2 weeks. It's really short, but people have lifetime access, so they can take their time with it. And I'm just hoping that those that feel the call will come. There is a link in my bio if anyone's interested, or they can also just reach out to me and ask questions. I'm more than happy to answer them.
I think it sounds so comprehensive, and I love that you've thought about the cheat sheet, because, you know, people are online learning, but then, you know, on a day-to-day, they might be walking past their altar or walking past their table, and it's just there, and they can have a little glance and, like just a really nice reminder. I love that idea. I think that's, yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, it's taken me like 4 years on and off to create this. I was sort of creating it while I was working on Yoga Mudra Oracle, but, you know, I really needed the space and time to dedicate to it, which I've done. You know, in the last few months, I've really pushed to complete it. So it's really exciting to finally have something like this to share. So, and I was wondering too, Britt, I don't know if you've got any plans to run your beautiful training again at some point. Sacred territory, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, you and I were in the same business mentorship program, working on our projects side by side, and yeah, last year I offered Sacred Territory course twice, and I absolutely loved it, and I will definitely do it again, and yeah. Similarly to you, it was incorporating, you know, all the different aspects of what I offer: the menstrual education, the cycle tracking, the fertility, and then the cycle journaling. It had ritual ideas for the cycle, as well as womb yoga practices for across the cycle. So yeah, a lot in one sort of program, and yeah, a real like how to say, like complete sort of practice in a way. And so what's interesting this year is I'm feeling the call to offer more in-person programs. So that's still there, and it will come back into being an online program. But currently, yeah, I'm bringing the womb yoga aspect to a studio. I'm bringing the fertility awareness aspect to a group. We're meeting once a month. And that's just been important for me, and how I want to work this year. It just feels like in person feels really important. But I love both. So I feel like it's a constantly evolving space, and as creators, we get to choose how we offer our work in the world. Yeah, and yeah, like, yeah, and there's so much creativity. It's like, which channel is it going to take next? But yeah, at the moment, just really like, yeah, sort of establishing a nice solid routine of, I do this monthly, I do this weekly. Like, I really love routine, getting into beautiful rhythms. Yeah.
Well, that's what your work is about, isn't it? Cycles.
Yeah. I mean, I could riff on daily practices and cycles and yearly practices and seasonal practices forever. I mean, I think it's, yeah, I just love it so much. Yeah. And you're working with the daily routine as well, bringing women into that, well, inviting them to establish a type of routine. And I think one of the main points here for routine and rhythm is that we're women and we're cyclical beings. So our routines don't have to look rigid. Like, so it's actually quite freeing and wonderful to be able to have a routine, to be able to have a rhythm. But because of the flow we go through and the rhythm of the cycle, within that rhythm is built in change is actually built into it, and exception to the rule is actually built into it. So there's never a rigidity, even when you're in a cyclical, when you're in a cycle as a woman, because the exception to the rule is actually built in. So it's very freeing. Yeah.
That's beautiful. I love hearing that because I think we can be so hard on ourselves, if we're not, doing this and this and this and this. And it's like we'd actually have to flow and adapt and be gentler and be kinder because, as women, we do a lot. I'm not saying men don't, but, we juggle a lot, I think, and certain things just have to fall away at certain times, and it's like learning how to accept that as well, because some of those things that fall away could be things that you really want to do. So it's like, how do I adjust and adapt and find flow in those moments?
Yeah. And from my experience, on the other side of the letting go, it always comes back up. For example, in the menstrual cycle, um, we are invited to go into the void at menstruation. We are invited to actually let everything go, from our mental realm, like our attachments and our, like, what we're holding on to and what we really want to happen. It's just like, just in for a day or two, it's like just being in the void and letting it go. And from my experience, the things that matter will always come back, and they'll come back with more creativity, they'll come back with more life, they'll come back with more life force, and there is so much power to express that in the world. So yeah, there's rarely ever been a bad letting go that I've experienced. I mean, obviously you go through the pain and the grief, and that's part of the process.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's good to know that, and this is the wisdom of the cycles, that we know that, after winter, spring will come and the plants will bloom, the flowers will bloom. So yeah.
It's beautiful, Britt. It makes me think about, how that void is so sacred. It is truly like stepping into sacred space, but it can feel scary at the time, because there's an unknowing.
Mm.
And I think that's the letting go. It's like letting go into that. And it sort of comes back to what I was saying earlier about the law of seven and those points of resistance. They're really, you could look at them as sacred voids, where you really
Mm.
don't know what the next step is. So you've sort of got to let go and trust in that space. And then when you go to that next step, you're in a whole brand new state of being, state of mind, and you have new energy, new impulse. So beautiful correlation,
I love
connection.
that in. It's exactly that. Yeah, absolutely.
Incredible. Yeah. Well, maybe that's a beautiful
Mm.
spot to end on, a new octave as we go into our cold days, but we'll try to keep warm.
Old yet creative.
Yes, so creative that is. It's so true what you said, It really is a beautiful work. that we get to be a part of. It is really creative, you know, and it sounds like you've really been following that thread of intuition too, just with what's opening up for you in your work more face to face. And so I wish you all the best for that.
Thank you.
I'm sure those people are very lucky to be a part of your teachings. So
Yeah, thank you. It'll come back online again, but just in this phase right now. Yeah. And I still don't have a pack of oracle cards, but I have given one to my mother, as you know, but I'm so excited to buy them. And yeah, I really am like, when am I going to buy them?
oh, thank you so
Yeah.
much, Britt. Thank you for all your support. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful
And
day and so lovely to chat.
yes, always so great to chat too. Thank you. Thank you so much. I enjoyed our exploration. It's beautiful. Thank you. Okay. Bye.